Hi everyone, it's Becky here. So continuing from the previous video, today I'm going to finish filling the last spread of my art journal. First thing was this set of still life, a glass bottle, and some wild apples and pears from our neighbor and our family friends. Okay, so first of all is the line work. So I already visualized the placements of everything on the white space, and now I'm starting to draw the cap of the bottle, and then the left hand side and the right hand side of the bottle. The bottom is being covered by this apple. So finish drawing that after finishing drawing the apple. This ring handle there, and using broken lines to show the shiny streaks on the surface of the glass. And then this label here is curvy, following the bend of the bottle. More broken lines to show the shine, the inside of the bottle. And keep adding more label details. And being aware of the bending surface of the bottle. Some of the words and letters and pictures are kind of following the curve of the bottle too. Okay, and now I'm adding more details for the apples, drawing this apple here on the right hand side, and the pear being covered behind. The stem is very long. Another pear being covered, and then this pear is having long stem and leaves. I selected this pear with leaves because it's adding more interest to this sketch. Now I'm drawing the outline of the leaves, the veins. Keep making connections. And this leaf is kind of folded. Bit of overlapping here. Just following the curves that I see instead of trying to draw what's really there. Okay, so the drawing part is done. And here is the pen that I use. It's an Etcher waterproof fine liner pen. Specifically, it is an extra small brush pen. So it works kind of like a fountain pen. Then when you push a little bit harder, the line becomes a bit thicker. It's a really precise brush pen, similar to the line work of a fountain pen. And here is my Etcher watercolors. So this watercolor palette comes with 24 half pan watercolors. The colors are really vibrant. And I don't clean the mixing areas of my palette because I can always use the leftover colors. It really saves time. Alright, so it's time to paint. So I'm gonna kind of paint a background first because the glass container is transparent. It's more convincing to have a colored background. This brown color is pretty much the color on the background of my living room, the color of the floorboards and the cupboards behind. A pretty simplified color. And then this leftover blue color is the color of the counter. Okay, and now I'm starting to paint this glass jar with very loose brushstrokes and being aware of the highlights on the surface and leaving some tiny spots white for the shiny part. Let it dry. While waiting for that to dry, I'm starting to paint the apples. Fresh light green, and this color is green mixed in with a little bit brown. Very organic earthy color. And this one's magenta red. radiant green mixed with yellow ochre for the color of the leaves. And this is pretty much the first layer. Quickly painting the label. Okay, so it's time to paint the second layer. I'm gonna intensify the glass bottle with this dark tone of brown. So this is basically burnt sienna mixing with a little bit ultramarine blue. So the brown or burnt sienna is darker. Again, being aware of those highlight spots. Wet on wet, even more ultramarine blue. Ultramarine blue, a little bit watery, very loosely leaving those brighter spots. Okay, and now I'm adding the second layer for this apple. Magenta mixed with a little bit purple. A more intense layer of magenta purple for this apple. Another layer of green mixed with a little bit of brown, tiny bit of ultramarine blue. Especially darker for the left hand side because the right hand side is facing the light source. Now these pairs are looking more spherical with the shadows. Second layer for the leaves, using thin brush strokes to make the veins stand out. I made the green darker by mixing in a little bit brown into the radiant green and a little bit of ultramarine blue. Paint the stems and the tint. And it's time to paint the third layer. The background needs to be more intensified so it looks more dramatic. So now I'm adding this dark tone of brown, burnt sienna mixing with a little bit ultramarine blue to get this darker tone of brown. Especially darker wrapping around the glass vessel so the glass vessel can stand out better. And also this cupboard over here with the darker tone of brown. Even darker wrapping around the glass vessel so it can stand out better. The background is really helping the glass vessel to stand out even better. That's why I'm intensifying it. Okay, now painting a shadow for the label because the light source comes from the right hand side, so the left hand side is darker. Adding some final polish for the glass jar. And a fourth layer for the apples to intensify the shadows. Purple mixing with a little bit ultramarine blue, especially for the left hand side. Shadows from one another. And adding a tiny bit of shadow inside and outside the glass vessel bottom. Shadow inside the tint of the fruits. Just kind of add more definition for the leaves here with thin brush strokes. Shadows around the bottoms of these fruits. Okay, so now I want to give you an important point about painting the shadow of a glass vessel. So the shadow of a glass vessel is not as solid compared to the pears and other solid objects. The inside of the shadow is actually kind of transparent, reflective, shiny. There's just a ring for the shadow. As you can see, I took away some of the dark shadow color in the middle and now there's only a ring left. Okay, so here is the look of my art journal spread. I just have one little space on the bottom left hand corner to fill. And sketching the sky outside my windows is one of my favorite ways to fill my art journal. So today is a pretty nice sunny day and I will do a quick sketch of the clouds and the blue sky in my art journal. And I'm going to sketch right over here on the last space of this page spread. Okay, so because my main focus of this sketch is the sky and the clouds, so I don't need to include a lot of the houses. So as you can see, I'm only drawing half of the houses, including the rooftop and the top floor. And that's pretty much it. Connecting the trees and forest behind in very quick and simple outlines. And this maple tree is in the foreground, and I just added some little spaces in between the leaves, the gaps, adding some more details of the leaves. Keep adding the structure of the house, the arc and the window inside another window here. Filling in the windows with lots of layers of black lines, just so the house has more density. Keep connecting more rooftops near and far around the first house, keeping that really simple. Add a few more details for the tree there to suggest texture. Keep adding the forest behind. Okay, and I think the drawing part is pretty much done. I will paint the sky with watercolors. So now I'm wetting the sky area with clear water, ready for some wet on wet technique. Cerulean blue, nice and clean. Very loosely and then quickly blending on a second layer of more intense cerulean blue. Now I'm adding some lemon yellow because the sunshine is coloring the clouds a little bit. The clouds are not perfectly white. Adding some medium yellow, lemon yellow for the houses, just to show the sunshine illuminating the houses and the trees. Everything is nice and bright. Okay. And my next step is that I mix some ultramarine blue and purple for the shadows of the clouds. Wet on wet, as you can see, the color is blooming with the first layer. And I'm not over blending or over stirring with my brush, just try to make the colors blend better. I'm just letting the color bloom with one another instead of trying to control too much. I know it's never going to be exactly the same as the sky outside. And the more we overmix, the more muddy it becomes, so just let go. And second layer for the rooftops are brown, adding some leftover blues for the shadows, and then paint radiant green for the tree there, radiant green for the forest behind in the distance, red, mix it with a little bit brown for the maple tree in the foreground. Nice and loose, little choppy brushstrokes to show the texture of the leaves. And for this sketch, I'm keeping it really simple. And I'm not adding as many layers as I usually do. And now just adding another layer of darker tone of green to show shadows, and that's it. Keep it nice and light. So here is the finished sketch. I also added the date and the day and the time. It took me 15 minutes to finish this sketch from line work to watercolors. It's a very quick sketch just to capture my impression and my feelings really quickly. And here is the look of the whole page spread. So this is the very last page of this art journal. And it took me 4 months to finish filling up this sketchbook. So thank you so much for watching my video. If you like my video, please click like and leave me a comment below. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, please don't be shy to let me know in the comment section. And I will see you very soon next time. Have a great weekend.